Welcome to another edition of Adweek Together. My name is Ko Im. I'm the community editor and podcast co-host, and we have another fruitful conversation for you today. But first, if you enjoy these conversations and our content, we'd like you to sign up for an Adweek Pro subscription. We encourage you to visit adweek.com/offer to get unlimited access to our essential content and resources. Today on Adweek Together, we are going to discuss social media and social good, especially right now as we amplify voices in the movement for social justice. And today we are joined by Lovey Ajayi Jones from Chicago, Illinois, where she is writing her second book and also behind the movement campaign called Share the Mic Now. Hi, Lovey.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being with us during this very busy and hectic time. I remember being just floored by the amount of people I saw participating in the Share the Mic Now campaign. So can you tell me a little bit about how you and a few collaborators and friends thought of the idea and what it came to be?
Yes, so Share the Mic Now came to be from conversations. It was born out of relationships. I called Bozeman St. John, and we were both like, we want to do something and really make sure that voices that are typically not heard are placed in the forefront. So we were like, what if we actually get prominent white women to hand over their Instagram accounts for a day to Black women who have incredible voices? So we called Glennon Doyle instantly. We were like, Glennon, we have this idea. And Glennon was like, yes, let's do it. And she's like, I already have 20 people in my head right now that I want to ask. So we were like, okay, we go get the white women that we can have, and then we will get the Black women, and let's do this. And we got that idea June 2nd, and we did Share the Mic Now on June 10th. What happened was we literally had 54, we ended up having 54 women, white women who have large Instagram platforms, give their passwords over to Black women who a lot of them they've never met, they didn't even know who they were. They trusted us to match them with somebody amazing. And on June 10th, we did Share the Mic Now, and it was incredible. We had Black women like Rachel Cargill, Tarana Burke, Yaba Blay, Alencia Johnson, Elaine Walteroth, Yvette Noel Shore. They took over the accounts of people like Esther Perel. I took over Sophia Bush's account. It was just an incredible show of sisterhood in the way of people stepping back, trusting somebody else to take their mic and just telling their stories. We really wanted Share the Mic Now to give Black women a chance to amplify their stories, their voices, their work. We wanted people to listen because we ended up getting 300 million followers combined of the white women we had. We had Ellen, we had, we had Senator Clinton, we had Elizabeth Warren. So it was just such an incredible day of showing of sisterhood.
Yeah, I love that. And I saw that you were also doing a live with Sophia Bush, and folks like Julia Roberts were involved. Bozoma took over Kourtney Kardashian's. And what I thought was genius and I didn't expect was, those accounts interacting with each other in the end. So it turned out to be kind of a double amplification day. What were some of the conversations that were being had, not just the day after, but during that day? I think you had everything from just lighthearted conversations, but also, some deeper ones, right?
Yeah, it was really important for us to make sure that this wasn't just I'm handing over my account, I'm going to walk away. The white women who participated were expected to do labor of engaging with their audience, moderating their comments if it got crazy, and really taking the part and taking this seriously. We started the action by having everybody actually talk about Breonna Taylor on her birthday. Mm-hmm. Because we wanted to start and end it with something concrete and tangible, because while we have people's attention, what were we going to do with it? So the conversations in between, because we started with the happy birthday Breonna, like to really talk about how her killers were still out and free. We ended it with asking people to take the action of calling Louisville's prosecutors to make sure that something happens with we wanted justice for Breonna. But in between, the conversations were allowed to be whatever they could be, right? So everybody's platform, people talked about different things. Some people talked about, how racism affects finances and home ownership. Tiffany, the Budgetnista Aliche, that was what she talked about on Ashton Harris's account. I talked about how it's important for us to speak truth to power, no matter where we are in whatever spaces that we're in on Sophia Bush's platform. Yaba Blay was on Abby Wambach's platform, and Tarana Burke was on Glennon Doyle's platform. Each conversation was organic to what the Black women wanted to speak on that day. And that was also important because when we talk about racism and injustice and just systems that are not fair, the systems of oppression, there isn't just one issue. It's all multi-layered. Right. So we wanted everybody's stories to basically form a big web of the layers that we have to deal with. Some people, Myleik Teal took over Cheryl Strayed's account and talked about microaggressions and how hard it is for Black women in the workplace. And I loved how different every conversation was. I loved how different every perspective was. Because even within Black women, there's diversity in thought. There's diversity in
right.
There's diversity in what we wake up and think about every single day. And this action really showed it. And people were going from account to account using the hashtag share the mic now to see like what somebody else was talking about. And I know people, even after the fact, people were like, I'm going to be spending the next couple of days catching up on all the conversations because they were so broad, they were so deep. You couldn't take it all in one day.
Yeah. And what does that have to say about, maybe the stereotypes among just different diversity groups, right? It really has to show that, nobody is a monolith. No one group is a monolith. Yeah. And I guess, what was the true purpose behind Share the Mic Now? What was the real point that maybe some people might not understand yet about trying to put this, out there?
Well, one thing is we really wanted to center the voices of Black women. Throughout our whole action, we were very intentional about making sure that Black women were mentioned first. We wanted to make sure that you have to make it a point to center Black women because otherwise we are quickly lost in the sauce. Like we're quickly put to the side and relegated and our stories are quickly deprioritized. What we wanted people to really take out of this was that Black women's voices are strong, they're powerful, and they deserve space, right? People need to give us space. And a lot of times, Black women, we would take space when we're not given. So this was a celebration of our voices. This was not saying like we have to take space. We are now being given space, which we've earned. And to your point, we are not a monolith. That's a really important piece because our last action for the Black women on the platforms of the white women that they took over was a drop the mic, which was for them to put a call to action, something that they wanted this audience to move and walk away doing. The reason why we didn't do a unified call to action is, again, there is no one thing that we can ask people to do that is going to solve the system of oppression. There's no one solution to any problem. So now people have at least 50. If you go on all the different accounts of the women who participated, and you can go to the drop the mic post because we left everybody with one platform, this one graphic that said drop the mic. There's literally 50 different things you can now say you can do, right? So maybe it is to donate, maybe it is to volunteer, maybe it is to speak your truth, maybe it is to reflect on certain questions. All of that is important. All of that is what's going to push us closer to a world that feels more equitable for Black and brown people, for people who are marginalized.
Right. And there are so many different lanes of action that you could drive in to help foster and facilitate that change. I'm curious, I know that you saw so much interaction and so much engagement. Did some of the followers on some of the white celebrity accounts transfer over to the Black voices that we saw participate?
Absolutely. On average, people end up getting 7,000 to 10,000 more followers that day.
Wonderful.
And the point wasn't even necessarily for us to all get more followers. The point was for a moment in time to be in front of people who might not be hearing this perspective, right? You know, a lot
Right.
of times people just, we live in our own little bubbles. So we hear the same thing over and over again. But what happens when people are now allowed to hear something different? But yeah, people did absolutely follow Black women on their accounts. And I mean, for us, just, we are heartened by the response to Share the Mic Now, because what we wanted was for people to feel compelled to act, to do something different, to know that they have more power than they thought, and for honestly, for white people to feel and to know that you can be doing more, and you can start today, not tomorrow, today. And there are different things you can. It doesn't all have to be major acts, right? It doesn't have to be you donating $30,000 or, you know, volunteering 8 hours a day. I think change comes into small actions that we do consistently across time. And if more people feel compelled to do it, we'd be doing something good. And I think on that day, we were able to just anecdotally have people tell us that how somebody's content made them see something different or make them feel like they should move. And in terms of the number impact, Share the Mic Now had 17 billion impressions, which blew our
That's
mind.
so amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I love that you mentioned small actions matter. Not only does it reflect your values if you're acting out from them, but it makes it more manageable for a problem and a challenge that is so huge. I want to take a page out of your first book, I'm Judging You, and you mentioned back in 2016, life doesn't usually come with a manual, and then you went on to say, humans are flawed beings. Some flaws are merely wrinkles, some are cracks, and some are the Grand Canyon. I think for me, where I'm sitting, we saw a lot of true colors from the Grand Canyon coming through. But the Share the Mic campaign also showed a lot of hope. And are you feeling that as well? This positivity from, the admittance that, we're all flawed and this is going to take some time and we're going to make some mistakes. But hey, people will actually listen and try to do something, including the stars.
Yeah, I was emboldened and heartened by it because it showed what happens when we trust each other, first of all. And then second of all, when we move in one accord, we can make really powerful things happen. I, especially right now, think it's important for us to find moments of joy and beacons of hope to hold on to, because it feels like there's so much darkness in the world. We always hear bad news. And right now I'm like, any piece of great news or anything that feels positive that I can hold on to, I do. Because we need it in the moments when it feels too dark. This is our light. And that is, Share the Mic Now is something that has brought me so much light. Like, Stacey Bandit of Alison Olivia ended up one of our organizers. And just seeing how women said yes to us without question is powerful. And it makes me deeply hopeful that we can work together for the greater good and we can get on elevated ground.
Yes, I love the partnership that snowballed so quickly there. What would you say to our audience of marketers and advertisers? What can we learn from this kind of partnership? And then how can other companies and leaders really get involved and support these kinds of initiatives that truly foster dialogue?
I think it's really important to always lead with humanity. No matter what you're doing, lead with humanity. This campaign, there were many ways where it could have gone wrong. Share the Mic Now, there were many opportunities for it to fail. But we asked these 108 women, because we had 108 women as part of this action, 54 pairs. We asked them to trust us. We said, listen, we're doing this thing. We don't know how it's going to go, but we're trying to lead with good intentions, good heart. Come with us on this journey. We're building this canoe as we're rowing it. And they all said yes. I think that power of openness made this really, really powerful. What you saw in terms of the pairs who talked to each other, they actually weren't required to do lives. They were so deeply impacted by it that they were like, you know what, we're all going to get on live with our partners because we feel connected to them now. Lead with the humanity, lead with pure intentions, and honestly, do not be afraid to make strong statements. Our big intention here is when the world listens to women, it listens to white women. Black women have been yelling and screaming for centuries, but we don't get heard. And for a second there, we were like, is it too strong of a statement? No, but it's the truth. I think the power of this action of Share the Mic Now was us taking risks, but we took risks that felt honorable. We wanted to honor Black women, and we did it. And we were able to come together and make it happen in 10 days. So the success of the campaign, we really give credit to the women who said yes. We give credit to their heart, their openness, and for them to trust us. So for marketers, we actually encourage people to do Share the Mic Now in their own spaces where people are actively giving over their accounts to somebody who would typically not have that access. We are encouraging people to right now figure out what they can do. And this is something that they can do. Hand over your account to somebody who does not have as many followers as you. Hand over your account to, if you're a business leader, hand it over to an entrepreneur who's up and coming. If you are a white man, hand it over to a Black man. It can be done in many different spaces, and we've seen it be done. It's been done, like for the last 2 weeks on Instagram, we've been seeing all the different Share the Mic Now actions, and we are encouraged by it. So we are actually going to be giving out the toolkit where people can do this in their own spaces with the right intention, and they can see how we executed ours, because we want to make sure that this doesn't just stop with us. This can be a global movement of people who are typically voiceless or not given space, having voice now.
Yeah, I love that it's continuing and organically evolving. You already took my last question of what's next for the Share the Mic Now campaign. What's next for you as our last question? What's kind of on your mind as things continue to shape up?
Well, for Share the Mic Now, we are going to be announcing our next activation soon. And then just, sharing on everybody who's sharing the mic now in their own spaces. And for me, I am working on book 2 called The Fear Fighter Manual. It'll be dropping Q1 of 2021. And I have an app in the App Store called Love Nation, LUVVNATION. But one thing that I want to say as I leave is, I think if there's anything people should take is that you can create something powerful in your own space and just speaking truth in the rooms that you're in. I think it's really important for us to feel compelled to be the gatekeepers of truth. So I actually have a guide. I created a free guide to truth telling called Be the Domino that people can download at bethedomino.com. It is really important right now and beyond this moment that we commit ourselves to speaking truth, especially when they're difficult, because that is when we are going to make sure that the rooms that we're in are being as best as they could be.
Yes. And also thank you for encouraging all of us to take a little bit of that entrepreneurial spirit and make it our own as we continue to, bolster ourselves in our communities. Love you, Ajayi Jones. Thank you so much for your time. And we look forward to keeping up with everything that you're working on.
Thank you.
Great. And we will be continuing these conversations on Adweek together. If you enjoy these conversations, make sure to sign up for a pro subscription at adweek.com/offer to get unlimited access to essential content and resources. Next week, we'll be joined by Jason White, the CMO at Curaleaf. We hope that you will tune in then. Until then, my name is Ko Im. Thank you so much for tuning in.